Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will likely be strong language and adult themes. So, have Faye with me again today.
Ooh. Hi.
And so I'm not quite sure who we have in the side chat. I know that Dave was there. I think there's at least one other person. But I did also see that there's a couple other people that I'm following who are streaming at the same time now. So,
Awesome.
yeah, some of the problem with audience overlap. So I think some of them are in streams that started before this one did.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's just timing. You know how it goes. Sometimes
Yep.
after the fact, people will watch.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So, yeah. Oh, Sammy. So, we were talking about your kittens. You said they're springboarding off of you.
Oh yeah, boy, am I ripped up.
Hmm. I know what you mean. My legs are always scratched up. Because Sammy will not just get up in my lap and just lay down. He has to kind of dance around for a while first.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Ironically, I'm pretty sure it's because whoever had him before me, I think he was getting pushed off, so he's never sure if he's okay to be in my lap.
Right.
But it would be so much easier if he would just plop down and get the weight off of his paws.
Oh. Yeah, I get that. I've been trying to be very accepting of the little balls of energy
Yep.
to get them confident. But when I am nothing but a platform to for bigger, longer, higher jumps, ow, I get the crap kicked out of me.
Well, generally, if they don't need food, cats regard people as furniture.
Yeah. Well, I'm out of freeze-dried minnows, so that's a problem.
Freeze-dried minnows? Was that the treats you were giving him?
Yeah. We had our last freeze-dried minnows. And I don't think I'll be able to get them back anytime soon.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Oh, hey, Orla.
How's Orla doing?
I don't know. She posted something on Twitter yesterday about her daughter eating her.
Cannibalism is, you know,
Yeah, well,
attractive.
it runs in the family.
Of course. Oh, so what's going on? Like, seriously, what's going on?
You know, Sammy is not being happy and hiding a lot because I have to keep putting drops in his ears. So, had him at the vet last week and he's got an ear infection. So I got to keep cleaning his ears out, putting drops in twice a day for the drops and cleaning them out every day.
Uh-huh.
And he is not liking me pulling on his ears. So I have to bring him back on Friday for a follow up for them to check how it's doing, and then they'll do a dental cleaning at the same time.
Oh, I have to somehow raise the money for shots. And that'll happen. That'll happen.
Yep.
It's just there are a few things I thought were handled. So long story short, I
Yeah.
gotta do some work. It's all right. Everything will be all right. One thing at a time.
Well, yours are still pretty young for the shot, so you have at least a few weeks yet, right?
Well, I got 4 weeks to go for the shots, and then I've got 2 more months after that to get them spayed and neutered, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the news has been driving me crazy. I haven't been able to feel settled in my skin for a while, especially with the North Korea stuff going on.
Yeah, I really haven't even been. I haven't been seeing much news. I don't know what the Korea stuff really is. I just see fragments of it.
Well, basically, he's nowhere to be seen, but his sister has taken over, and
Aha.
she's like a Bond villain.
Yeah.
Like you would think, oh, well, his sister, maybe people might look at her and go, oh, well, she's cute. No, she's a Bond villain.
Hmm.
She makes him look reasonable.
Yeah.
Like she's a total psychopath, and they're moving into the demilitarized zone, or at least that's the threat. They blew up a building where they had negotiations with South Korea. She's being very aggressive. She's demanding food, and if not, I think she'll just attack. Sh if she's not given what she wants, she will take what she wants. I don't think food's unreasonable, so I don't see why this is going on.
Well, because they do have a record that when we've given them food aid in the past, a lot of it has been sold with the government officials pocketing the money and the average people still not getting any food. They were still being starved out.
I know, but the thing is, it's like food or war. Come on. At this rate, they need to like figure out how to do aquaponics and give them a whole bunch of seeds. That's instead of just handing out band-aids. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because anyone can do, well, it does take some brains to do aquaponics. It's not that simple, but it's possible. And you just have to test the water and stuff like that. I don't see the problem though. Do the aquaponic thing. Aquaculture is an older art than say regular traditional agriculture and farming that we do. It's older than that. So I phrased that all wrong. Forgive me.
Yeah, got what you mean though.
Uh, what we're used to versus what, because I don't know if it developed in China or Japan or it was just a thing, but aquaculture is a thing. And aquaponics is aquaculture on crack. And you can do vertical farming.
Yep.
And you can do it indoors. And the byproduct is lots of food. So there's no reason for them not to have food.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason for anyone to starve.
Yeah. I
There
think
are,
China had been doing aquaculture, the
for like
aquacultures for like the
10,000
last,
years or
yeah,
so. Yeah.
at least 5,000 years.
No, more like 10,
Okay.
really.
Yeah,
But
that wouldn't surprise me. I don't have a very accurate timeline for it.
I've done a lot of research into it because like 10 years ago I was all ready for it, but never got the system built, and I ended up moving, so I couldn't do what I had planned, and there's no room for it here.
I did some research on it some years back. I was actually planning on doing a greenhouse and having an aquaculture pond in it of
Hmm.
raising tilapia and crayfish.
Excellent. Were you
But
gonna sell the tilapia or use it for yourself?
well, it was part of an idea I had been working on to do a self-sufficient homestead,
Uh,
but I never had the capital to buy land to do it.
the one thing that would have killed me is the grow lights for like doing it indoors. But then I figured I could just do wheatgrass because you don't really need light for that. It just grows.
Hmm.
And selling that as animal feed, but I didn't have a place big enough because that's almost like the microgreens. You don't really have to expose them to much light.
Yeah,
And microgreens go well too, but that's an industry where you have to keep buying seed because you're not producing enough seed. You're not producing any seed actually.
yeah. I don't know if it if it's still running or not, but the University of Minnesota had a project going here that they had about a 2 acre rice paddy
Oh, cool.
that they were doing aquaculture, and they were also doing crayfish in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because after they harvest the rice, the crayfish will feed, on the stubs that are left over, and basically mow everything down and grind it up to, fertilize for the next cycle.
Well, fish and all the other things too that do the aquaculture. Plus, you have ducks that come in that remove the weeds.
Yep,
There's a whole like biosystem that starts to happen. But I know that there are some aquaponic things like in like desert areas. It's doing very well. But and Cornell University put over $1 million into it to have an aquaponic thing in New York City, but I don't know what happened.
mm,
I do know it's not like plant your seeds and you're done. You constantly have to be working on it, and I don't know if people have the stamina for
that's
things
what
like
happens
that.
with so many projects is getting anybody to do the maintenance work on it. It's kind of exciting to set it up, but the day after day stuff nobody wants to do.
Yeah, well, one person who was doing it in the desert, he was 55, and I don't know if he's still alive. Like when you are 55, you know, 15 years later, are you going to be able to do the labor for the aquaponics?
Yeah, well, that's the sort of question I've been facing: is how many years can I still continue doing the kind of work I'm doing?
Yeah, I get that. Are you kidding? I'm worried about that sort of thing too, and I'm gonna be 50 this year, so but there's a limit to
Yep,
my stamina.
I will be 56 next month.
Excellent. You're a July baby too. When's your birthday?
July 19th.
I'm the 30th. That's awesome.
Okay, Sammy's finally relaxing
I can't help
and
but
having
ask,
fun.
but Mick, what are you going through? That sounds terrible.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm looking at the side chat.
At the side chat here?
Mick said, yeah, could you give advice for dealing with the persecutory and paranoid delusions of a schizophrenic? And Mick, I cannot.
Okay, you're on a different side chat than I am.
Oh no, that's right, I am. What the hell?
Okay, I was going to say, the only thing I see here is Orla was talking about her daughter biting her and making dinner.
That's because I'm switching between two devices and the other one was stuck on the other thing.
Okay. I just
Oh,
confused there. I didn't know what you were responding to.
you're doing dinner? Oh, that's right, you're in a different time zone.
Yep, it's supper time in the UK.
Food here has been weird. Everything's been weird though. I know this is probably a better time not to look at the news, but I can't help it.
Yeah, it's always trying to figure out that balance between staying informed and staying sane.
Yeah, they're still threatening to send troops into the demilitarized zone.
Yeah, it's a
Think a
perpetual
lot of
problem.
people are going to die.
You know, with the North Korea thing, what I did see of it after, they had the surgery and there were like rumors that he had died in surgery and then he showed up.
Well,
And
supposedly that could have been old
that's what I mean.
footage.
All along, I've been questioning, you know, how do we know that was him or was that just a body double they were parading around?
All I know is, well, they could have done the body double, or they could have used old footage because no one actually saw him. Yeah, like nobody from outside saw him, and she's doing all the talking. But the thing is, it's like him, instead of thinking like, oh well, you know, he's more powerful, and she, if she was seen to be the leader, it would be a weaker thing. No, if she's seen to be the leader, it's more of, we know we're in trouble, rather than, like, it's hard to call him reasonable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really is. It's hard to call him reasonable, but she's scary.
Well, I know there was the question, though, just in their society, like whether or not the generals would have accepted orders from a woman.
Oh yeah, they would.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know enough about it.
Oh yeah, they would. If anything, like, she would be faster obeyed. She's that scary. He might order someone to kill you. She'd do it herself.
Okay.
With a smile. With a smile. She's that dangerous. And, you know, it's not like we don't have our own little psychopath in the office, but
Oh, yeah,
you
but I
alright?
was just wishes he could get people killed. I don't know. It must be something with my allergies. My throat's really thick today,
Uh, yeah, I'm coughing a lot
which I don't know
too.
what it would be because I've had the air conditioner going, so the air should be filtered.
It's not 100% effective.
Well, no, but just why it would be worse today than it was days I had the windows open.
All I know is Angie is washing Legos today.
Washing Legos?
Yeah.
No. I didn't know what she was up to. I just, put the invite in her group, and she said she still doesn't have internet yet.
No, they haven't come yet. Cause I was like, "Are you gonna do Afternoon Delight? Like, are you gonna start streaming immediately when you get this?" And she's like, "Nah." Like trying to figure out what she's gonna do and stuff like that. But I know that they got things like Legos from tornado stuff, and like stuff was
Mhm.
exposed outside and blah blah blah. So she's got a lot of cleaning to do.
Well, yeah, anything they can salvage has been exposed to the weather.
Right. And it's pretty hot and humid down there, so not exactly clean to be outside for a period of time. So
Yeah.
hopefully though, you know, it's not terrible to wash all those Legos.
Well, Legos at least are not terribly difficult to wash. It's more of the issue comes in with getting them dry again, getting the water out of all the little spaces.
If it's hot enough, just put them outside.
Yeah. Well,
You
that's
know,
a
and
usually
turn
like,
them over like cookies.
yeah, it's just making sure they all get enough airflow. So I usually like spread them out on window screens or something.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Oh, so what kind of things do you sell on Etsy?
I'm not on Etsy.
Or what kind of things
Yeah.
do you sell?
Well, Bricklink is just all about Lego,
Okay.
but on eBay I do a lot. That's mostly like selling tools and blades and accessories for power tools, mostly
Okay. And
various woodworking stuff.
what do you charge?
Yeah, I don't, without being a specific item, I don't know what you're looking for there.
Okay, say I wanted to order cat shelves.
Oh, for building something?
Yeah.
Well, most of the stuff I've done that's been like design projects. Usually my base rate had been like $25 an hour, but when I was in Michigan, I had to cut that down to $10 an hour just to get any business at all.
Oh yeah, I understand that. But
Yeah.
would you be like looking for work at all or
Well, to be honest, I could build the stuff for you, although I'm not sure with the cost of shipping, it would probably come out cheaper for you to just, buy it from a store there.
yeah, but I'm not looking for a discount. I rather give I rather pay someone I know than
Okay.
go through a company that doesn't pay its employees a fair rate.
Okay. Well, if you want to, just give me an idea what you want, especially if you could just like draw up a quick sketch.
Okay. Yeah, cuz like I was thinking that maybe cuz I want to turn my one of my bedrooms into a cat playroom
Mm-hmm.
and set up a camera,
Yep.
and I think cat shelves would make it look cooler.
Okay. I have seen some
So,
pretty cool stuff online of people who have, like set shelves of different heights on the wall so they can climb up and down.
yep, that's the idea. That's the idea. And some of them are just tiny little things, and the other ones are like something where they can sit up.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm thinking about doing that, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna talk to Purple about it and see
Yep.
what he thinks.
Yeah, some things they can climb and scratch on.
Basically, climb because these things are very young and very energetic and driving me crazy.
Yep.
I love them, don't get me wrong, but holy, And since you have a cat, I figured you'd be the best person to talk about the different sizes and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've built some cat furniture before.
Yeah, because kitties.
Yeah, well, and that's even with the stuff I'm building here.
Uh huh.
That I've got a unit that's going to run along the whole 15-foot main wall. That's 6 feet tall, and I'm leaving the top of that open, and I'm gonna leave so he's got a way to go up from the windowsill and up on top of the air conditioner so he can run across the whole top of that unit
Yeah. Well,
because he likes high places. That's how he feels safe.
I don't have tools, so I can't do it myself.
Okay.
I'd have to ask my landlord to put them into the wall, anyway.
Yeah.
But, I'm just sitting here going, how do I do this in a way that can help the kitties stop being little assholes?
Well, there's certainly lots of stuff online. There's, of course, on YouTube, there's all sorts of cat videos and different things people have built.
Right.
Um, Also, any questions you have for cats, look up Jackson Galaxy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been watching him for years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know who
Yeah.
he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Vancouver vet guy.
Yep.
Do you watch him?
I think I've seen him a couple of times. I don't.
I love him. But yeah, like I've had cats since I was a little kid, and I'm always trying to improve.
Yep.
Always trying to improve because you want a quality of life for your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of the thing. It's kind of difficult. I find with inside cats is just making sure that they stay active, that they get exercise. So you have to play with them. You have to make sure they get thrown around. Oh, hi, Greg. I've been trying to get Sammy used to the harness and leash so that I could start taking him for walks. He doesn't know what to do with it. I get him in the harness and I get him out in the hallway and he just freezes and digs his claws into the carpet. Where we lived before, we were able to get away with letting them run around in the hallway, but we can't do that here.
Yeah.
We just leave both of our doors open and they'd run back and forth between our apartments.
Is he excited to do that?
And no, like I say, he seems to get paralyzed as soon as we go in the hallway with the harness.
Well, it's new. It doesn't smell like him. Of
Yeah.
course, it's a problem.
Yeah, well, that's, I've done it with him a couple of times, but even just to take him over to Sloth Girl's apartment, I usually wind up having to pick him up and carry him because I just can't get him to walk in the hallway.
Oh no, of course not. Even with the dangle toy.
No, yeah, he just not interested in moving out there.
Uh,
So,
See, I manipulate my two little beasts with dangle toys. I've got a little mouse on a string, and I
mhm.
can pretty much make them follow me or lead me. But if they get curious, that experiment's over.
Yep, yeah, that's it. I've got some toys like that. I play with him,
Well,
and it's like I'd like to eventually start taking him outside so he could walk in the grass and find some bugs. But
oh yeah.
I am a bit nervous about like if he takes off after a bird or a squirrel, if he can get off the lead.
Well, if he's on a harness, he should be okay. But I think in the beginning, just a minute outside is going to be max. It's going to be slow. I mean,
Yeah.
slow.
Oh yeah, I expect that. But like I said, it would be nice if he could just get a chance to hunt a bug or something. Because I know that he gets bored easily with the toys. I know he needs a live target.
Uh huh.
Because the couple of times when he's found a spider or something in the house, you know, he needs more of that kind of thing.
I think it's crazy. I think
Ah,
cats are crazy. I mean, they're fun, don't get me wrong, but they are crazy.
yachts?
Cats.
Oh, cats.
Cats.
Yep.
Hold on for a moment. I'll be right back.
Ah, so what's going on with you today, Greg? We got anybody else out there? I don't know if Orla's still with us or if she went to make dinner. So it's saying 5 people watching, so there should be a couple of people out there. So,
I thought something was wrong because my dad keeps calling me, and I'm thinking somebody's dead, but nobody's dead. He just called to tell me his air conditioner works.
okay, well, that's good.
It's great. I don't know. I don't even know what air conditioner he was trying to get to work, like the one in his car. He doesn't have an apartment.
Hmm. Yeah, we got Sloth Girl a newer conditioner. I've got her old one here because it was pretty clear that she was going to need a bigger one for this apartment.
Oh.
And this one I have, it's like it can just barely manage to maintain the temperature in here. But if I let it get above 80 degrees before I started, it has a real problem bringing the temperature down at all. So
Oh.
definitely not really a big enough unit for this amount of space.
Mine only does like one room.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing here. I've got everything closed up, so I'm only trying to do the living room, not trying to do the bedroom at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing too. It's a little difficult. It's a little difficult.
Yeah.
But it looks like I don't know. Air conditioning and things like that. Like I get it. I do know why people use them. It's just whenever I use mine, I feel it almost feels like cheating.
Well, actually, I wouldn't even have one. I would do okay without one, but one of the problems is that since I'm on a ground floor apartment here,
Uh-huh.
I can't really leave the windows open when I'm sleeping
Oh.
because the window is like waist level to somebody walking by on the sidewalk, and if they can slide the window open, they could easily step in.
Oh. What about putting like a dowel between the top sill and the top of the window?
Well, that's what I have most of the time, so that it can can't be open more than about a foot, but
So you need to figure out how to make that more secure so you can be safe in your house.
well, it's just a matter of I can't have the window open wide enough to get that much airflow and still feel that it's secure.
Yeah, I get you.
And
And that
if,
is a
if it was
problem.
actually my house, I would put in a different type of windows, but that's not an option. Since I'm renting an apartment, I don't really have much option for making any big changes on things.
Hmm. So what are you using? Like an industrial fan?
Just a couple of, the usual type of house fans.
Okay. Are you sweltering?
Well, yesterday and today it's been, mid 90s and the humidity's been up, so I've had to run the air conditioner, but we're supposed to get thunderstorm tomorrow. So that should cool things down, and then I probably won't need to run it again for another week.
Yeah, the weather's been weird though.
Yeah, fortunately, I'm pretty good at taking the heat, although I am finding, again, as the years go by, the humidity is being more difficult for me.
I do know that COVID's been good for climate change, but not enough, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was surprised to see, how fast some areas seem to spring back after only like a month of the lockdown. And I hope that people will take some lessons from that and see that, yeah, it actually is true. If we all drive our cars less, things get better on their own.
It's it's You know how I said I was talking to my ex before I came on?
Yeah.
Well, he's in New Jersey still. And he said that people are all going down to the beach. During a pandemic, they're all going to the beach.
Oh, yeah. I've seen lots of stuff that the beaches in Florida are packed.
And people haven't learned shit. I mean, they can't even take a pandemic seriously. They're definitely never going to take climate change seriously.
Yeah.
And they mock anyone who says, "Look, we got to do this, or it's doom and gloom time." And they're like, "Doom and gloom, it's just a bunch of liberals, doom and gloom." No, Greg, it didn't. I
Yeah. I,
saw some of India, but not Beijing. What happened?
I didn't see Beijing, but I saw some other cities in China. And one
Mm-hmm.
of them, they were saying it was like the first time in 30 years they could actually see the stars because there wasn't so much smog.
So what happened though?
Yeah, Greg, was it something other than just the smog clearing up, or?
Well, if it cleared up in Beijing, that's
Yeah,
major.
yeah. Well, and I've seen things from all around the world of just, how without the grass being cut down and that, there's just so many more flowers. And, cities all around the world that the wildlife has been like reclaiming the cities. The animals are coming in because there weren't so many people around.
Which is really cool. But I can tell you this, my skies are still gray. over the last 5 years, those skies went gray. When the California fires were going on, my skies were gray
Mhm.
and they looked dirty. And when Australia was burning to the ground, my skies looked gray and
Yeah.
dirty. And my skies are still gray. They're not blue. And I live here in like a nature paradise. And it's been awful. It's very, very, very rare that we have a clear sky.
Yeah, I don't know what the weather patterns are there, if it's getting stalled there or what.
Typical mountain weather. Wait 10 minutes, it'll change.
Hmm.
That's what the locals like to say. But, you know, when I first got here, there was, you know, blue skies. You occasionally, if you like watch spaceweather.com and look for it, you can sometimes catch the northern lights.
Hmm.
Certain times of year and stuff like that. It's like,
Yep.
ooh. But you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder.
Yeah, there must be something more local that's trapping it by you though, because I,
Mountains.
haven't been seeing it around where I am, so it's not like it's across the whole country.
Probably just mountains. Because, there's this big lake between me and Vermont and
Yeah.
the Vermont ranges. So,
Well, that's why I'm wondering if the mountains are like trapping in some of the smog coming from New York City there.
no, the winds don't go that way.
Uh,
Oh, it looks like Angie's gotten her kids to help with the Lego cleanup.
okay, what is she posting on Twitter or where are you?
No, she sent it to me. I'm
Ah,
looking. It looks like she's got everything well organized. Of course she does. It's Angie.
yep.
Blue skies above you. Oh, you're in Connecticut. That's cool. No, but I I had a climate person on my Twitter forever, but he died. He fell off a ladder, which is
Mm.
pretty common in Vermont, but I I don't have the inside track that I used to.
Yeah. Well, it says we're getting a couple more people watching us, but nobody's saying anything in the side chat.
We're not saying anything like too inflammatory.
Yep.
Not talking about, hey, you know who did, and there's this thing, and these two people are fighting. So here's the inside track.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing the drama thing, and
No.
I'm not putting down the drama thing, but
I would rather keep.
you've got cleaner broadcasting, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would rather keep the drum off my channel. I'm not very good dealing with it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Stool says we should talk about burgers.
Craig says, oh my god. It's funny.
Yeah.
But no, it's like I I actually dared to check my Twitter feed.
Yeah, I tend to a lot of days just check the private groups and never look at the public stuff.
Well, I've got some really good friends on the public feed who don't do DMs.
Ah,
Like Bob Wood. Bob Wood doesn't do DMs. In fact, if you DM him, he'll drop you. He doesn't want to be DM'd.
Okay.
I was like, now that you said that, you do realize that I'm tempted.
I don't know who Bob Wood is.
He posts Raccoon Diner.
Oh,
He's a great guy.
okay. Okay, I know who you mean now. I don't react to the raccoons because people don't care for my opinion of them. So
What do you mean?
most people think raccoons are adorable little things. I think they're murderous bastards.
Oh, if you have cats, don't let them out near raccoons.
Yeah. They killed Guapo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And when I was living in New York, I was having trouble keeping them from coming in the house.
Yikes.
Well, they found out where the cat food was, so they kept trying to get into the kitchen to get the cat food. There were a couple of
Well,
days I came home that I had to chase them out with a mop.
we haven't had any problem with the very ambitious raccoons in my area, but there's enough stuff out there to keep them well fed and not desperate.
Hmm.
I think if a raccoon is attacking a cat, it's desperate, like sick or something.
Yeah. Well, this was when I was in Michigan, living 5 miles out of town, so they were actually forest raccoons and not the ones that are so used to living in the city.
Yeah. I think raccoons are cute, but I respect them and I wouldn't that's why I don't let my cats out.
Okay, we've got Brain Bug and Amiga Nuts. Hey guys. Yeah, well, that was the final thing for me, that I will not have cats going outside anymore. Yeah,
No, no.
it was something I'd kind of wrestled with even before that happened, the pros and cons. And I still feel kind of guilty that he has to stay locked up in this little apartment all the time, but
I think that's safer.
it is definitely safer for him.
I've had more
Not
humans.
just as far as dealing with other animals, but also, not picking up parasites and things like that.
My aunt's neighbors poisoned her cats. So I'm more afraid of humans than I am animals.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the three cats that I brought in from the feral colony in New York,
Mhm.
Simon would not eat tuna. He was deeply suspicious of tuna, so I think somebody had tried to use it to poison him at some point.
Uh, and my little nut jobs will eat anything. Anything.
Well,
Even
yeah,
stuff that's not edible.
yeah, but they're babies. They need to learn. And unfortunately, again, it's like if they hadn't been taken away from their mother so early, she would have taught them some of the things you should and shouldn't eat. But
Well, that's not my fault.
yeah,
I
yeah, I know
wanted
it.
to wait.
Yeah, yeah, it was irresponsible of whoever had the mother. They shouldn't have been separated that soon.
Well, luckily though, the vet says that my vet thinks they're older than they are. But it's one thing when you're guessing when they were born
Yeah.
and when they were actually born. So developmentally, they seem to be advanced.
Oh, stool's coming in.
Oh, good. I'm gonna hear how boring we are and how he doesn't want to
There we
talk
go.
about cats.
Hello.
Yeah, what's all this cat nonsense?
Oh,
Yeah. Well, Stool, you don't impress me either.
well, you wanted to talk about burgers, so you got me started on that. I'll have to see. This evening, I'm supposed to go out and pick up Sloth Girl's son to help me build some shelves up in her apartment.
Oh, good. Make some for the kitty.
Yep. Well, that's one of the things is to make a shelf to extend the windowsill.
Yeah.
So there's enough room for the cats to sit up there without knocking the plants off.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to talk about, Stool?
I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
Yeah, well, now you've got me thinking that, yeah, maybe when I go pick him up, I'll have to go get some burgers. I still haven't had a really decent burger since we moved in here.
I'll be back.
Yeah, so that's, damn. The time is really going by.
Tends to do that.
Yeah,
I just need a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I've been here 3.5 months already.
You need to get a burger.
Yeah, it's been 3 months since I've actually had a good burger. You know, I don't count the fast food stuff. McDonald's and Burger King don't count in that.
No, well, the one that I went to the other day, whenever it was.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it was yesterday, I think. It's a bit fast foody, but it's not kind of big chain type thing.
Right. Yeah, no, and those are good.
Yeah.
Even there are even some chain ones that are pretty decent. You know, like the last one I had was Five Guys.
I keep hearing about that one.
Yeah,
Is that a good one?
yeah, they make a pretty respectable burger, and you know you can get it with whatever kind of fixings you want on it. They don't have a standard thing for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're like a third of a pound. You know, so they're pretty thick, juicy burgers.
Yeah, you need somewhere that
Oh.
will use their initiative, which the one that I visited yesterday did, because they wouldn't give me what I wanted. So I had to say, right, do this, this, and this. Add lots of this.
Oh, yeah, Five Guys will definitely do that. They'll dress it up any way you ask them to.
I find them too expensive.
Well, the thing that I got yesterday was quite big.
Mhm.
Maybe not by American standards, but it was a big thing. It was chicken. Spicy chicken burger. Lots of extra hot stuff thrown in and fries.
Mm-hmm.
And that was £3.50. You know, that's a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah, Five Guys is, you know, it's a bit more, but I think for what you get, you know, it's still a decent price. It's not what I think is really expensive.
If I got a Five Guys lunch, I'd be able to eat 5 meals on that. It's way too much food. Or at least it is for me. That's way too much food.
Well, part of it for me is I tend to only eat one meal a day. So, yeah, for me, that's basically that and just a couple of snacks is all I'd have all day.
I can get 2 meals out of a can of soup.
I'm just looking at the Five Guys website.
Yeah, I've got some coupons around here for some other ones. Culver's burgers are pretty good, and I think there was a coupon sheet for them in the paper.
All I know is there's a place in Vermont called the Burger Barn,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't give you like such large portions that you feel like you're wasting anything.
Yeah.
But
Hey, they have them in the UK.
they rock. What, Burger Barn?
Five Guys.
Oh, are they in the UK?
Yeah, they're all over the world.
I thought they were only US.
They've expanded quite a lot.
Oh, I'm in a queue to order something. Shit, I've had done that. Whoa, get out of there.
No,
That's,
but
that's cool. Never seen that before. I was number 3 in a queue to order something from Five Guys.
I think most places now, unless it's a mom and pop restaurant, have order your stuff ahead of time so you can pick it up curbside.
Yeah, well, and there were a lot of places that weren't doing it until the COVID thing, but now to stay in business, they pretty much had to.
I kind of wish there was more outdoor seating anyway. I wouldn't mind going out for a meal, but I do not want to go in a building with all these other people.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. The problem is in this country, if obviously all the restaurants and eating places have been closed, some of them have had to evolve and start doing takeouts where they didn't usually before. But to eat outside for a food place or a coffee place to have an outdoor area, as well as having a license to do that, you need a separate license. They've also got to pay a huge fee per year for the privilege of putting some chairs outside the place, and it's really expensive.
Ah,
So,
I suggest
fun
you yell
fact.
at your government.
Well, fun fact: the government, not that I believe a word they say, are thinking of relaxing the rules so that more places can have outdoor areas, whilst we're still getting over this, thingy virus.
They need to start thinking about public health anyway so that people aren't on top of each other all the time and
Mm.
because germs. I mean, it shouldn't just be a pandemic thing where people try to be clean and not spread their filth through the world.
Yeah, Brain Bug, I saw your unboxing. He got a couple of new eight-legged pets.
Oh, that's cool. I like eight-legged things.
I'm okay with them for the most part. Sometimes they can, kind of make me jump, but I leave them alone. They leave me alone.
Right. I don't mind them so much. Anything that's creepy and crawly, I usually evict it rather than kill it.
Yeah, that was always my policy. I just try to catch it in a cup and put it outside.
Yeah, because I get quite a few wasps and hornets. I think they escaped from my attic.
Hmm.
It's like, well, you've wandered into a territory that's not yours. And apparently, if you're living up there, there's a food source for you or a way outside. So let's put you outside so you can go home.
That's what I keep trying to explain to people about house spiders. House spiders are not a problem. You would not have the spiders if they were not finding a bunch of other bugs you're not seeing to eat.
Exactly. Clean your house. Clean your house. Because bugs are usually attracted to something. And it doesn't necessarily mean that someone's dirty, it could be between the walls.
Yeah. Well, that's why you'll tend to see them in the kitchen a lot, because how often you clean under the fridge or behind the stove?
Once every 2 months.
Yeah, well, most people, I doubt it's more than once a year.
Well, I've got a schedule.
Yep.
I've got a very strict schedule.
Yeah, I'm working on establishing a cleaning schedule here.
The problem is this place is so old and beaten and worn. Like, I do need a new carpet. I do need a dryer. I need a new stove. I need a new floor in my kitchen. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you do the math, it's about $2,000 worth of shit.
Yeah.
And I just don't have it. At least I won't have it anytime soon. and I'd like to do something about that side bedroom. But that in itself would be $1,000. So because it needs a new rug, and I definitely need it painted. What you gonna do?
Yeah,
What you gonna do? Oh, hi, Mama.
there's a lot of upkeep. Oh,
Yeah,
hi.
but like, I don't know.
Yep. Well, like Brainbug just said, house spiders are your first line of pest control.
I don't mind house spiders,
Yep.
but I do put them outside. I don't like to kill them. I feel guilty.
Hi, Hans. Yeah, unfortunately, just within the last week, I saw something from one of the PBS science channels on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
that was saying that putting them outside isn't really doing them a favor because it's like the spiders in your house have already evolved into being a separate subspecies that probably can't survive in the wild.
Mm, I disagree because they seem to be like the same spiders that live on my porch.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there is some, crossover. It's a matter of do the populations intermix at all?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't need an orb weaver in my house. I don't know where they're getting in, but I do know that orb weavers really don't belong in my house.
Oh, are you getting the big ones or?
An orb weaver can get kind of big,
Yeah,
but
no, yeah. The first apartment my fiance and I had in New York, that we had an orb weaver that set up on our back porch,
yeah,
and yeah, it was
gorgeous.
bigger. Its leg span was as big as my hand.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. But I don't have spiders in the winter or the fall or the spring. It's
Yep.
just summertime. I think they just find a way in. Not all
Mhm.
my screens are are whole.
Yeah. Well, again,
Not all my. I'm in a very old
yeah.
house.
If
Well,
if
not
you've
a,
got a if you've got an old building that's settled a bit, there's going to be some gaps in the walls.
settled. My my floors aren't even straight. They're not level.
Yeah. Yep. And that's as soon as the things go out of square and level, there's going to be some gaps where the wall meets the floor and things like that.
Oh yeah.
So little
That's why
spaces that the spiders can come in.
I'm not terribly freaked out about it, but I do try to keep super clean because I don't need like a whole bunch of predators in the house.
Okay,
Whether
Brainbug
they're
wants you to box up the orb weavers and mail them to him.
no, they're mine. I love them. I love my orb weavers.
Yeah, this one house I worked on, there was an orb weaver that stayed in the garden shed. And just to
Hmm.
show you how impressive these things were, there was about 9 feet between the garden shed and the fence where it built its web every night.
I'm
And
not
orb
surprised.
weavers build a new web every night. They cut it down during the daylight.
Uh huh.
So yeah, I mean, well, even for a spider the size of my hand, though, to construct a web 9 feet wide every night.
There was I went to work on an old car at my friend's house. Like until cars got computers, we could do that, but some of the old cars there, we can still work on it ourselves because no computer. But we were gonna start rebuilding this one,
Hmm.
and of course we had to raise it and things like that. My friend's underneath there. He sprang out and he just said, "I just saw this gorgeous yellow and black spider, but it's huge." I was like, "Well, can we relocate it so we can get to the undercarriage?" And he's like, "Let's try." So we got a great big shoe box because it was big. Pretty thing. Don't know what it was though. Just pretty.
Yeah. The University of Minnesota's got a nice website for identifying all the spiders and insects that are native here.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's a pretty good one because you don't really have to know much about them. You can just like answer a few questions about the colors and patterns, and then it'll bring you up a bunch of pictures that fit that description for you to pick out.
Mm-hmm. This boy cat of mine is not very bright. You want to eat the stuff? It's in the bowl. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, Sammy's gotten so suspicious of me now he didn't even want to take his treat this morning. One of the few things,
Suspicious.
well, because I keep picking him up and sticking stuff in his ears.
Oh.
So, yeah, now he's like nervous anytime I try to pick him up.
Is he very food motivated?
No. But, and for the most part, he always wants to sniff whatever I'm eating, but he's never interested in eating it.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the very few exceptions is when I have yogurt in the morning. Then he gets to lick off the lid. So that's one of the few things of human food that he's actually interested in. Pretty much it's that, and when I have the spreadable cheese on crackers, that he'll take like one little ball of it off my finger just to taste it, but that's it. He never wants a second.
Cheese is kind of hard to digest for them.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, and people don't realize that most cats, by the time they're adults, are lactose intolerant. Most of them really can't handle dairy product as an adult.
Well, not cow's milk. They can handle the special formulated cat milk.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but I meant, the stuff that's sold as people food.
Yeah, I don't give them that.
Because the stereotype thing is always giving the cat a saucer of milk, and no, for most of them, that's gonna give them gut problems.
Well, also it gets in the way of digesting their actual food. So it's nutritionally, it's a disaster.
Yep.
Hey, girl. Ooh, I've got a kitten on my shoulder. Someone's in a
Yeah, I
good
can't wait
mood.
for you to get a camera so you can put some footage of them up.
Oh, I can't wait either. Hi. You're very attractive for something so small. But I walked in this morning and they had dumped half their food in their water bowl, which I don't appreciate.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But they run so much that they're just fucking hurricanes.
Yep. Well, it's good that they're active and putting on weight, so definitely indicates they're quite healthy.
Well, she's 8 weeks, but she's already, well, I would say she's about 2 pounds. These are going to be massive cats.
Ah, Petunia's a big girl. She's 19 pounds.
I had one that was 35.
I've seen a couple that were up around 30 pounds.
Yeah, but I mean, he was not as fat as he was just enormous. Like bigger than a dog. Bigger than most dogs.
Yep.
And I have a feeling that this little girl might go as much as 10 pounds when she's fully grown.
Yeah, well, Sammy just got up to 10 pounds. He was about a little over 8 pounds when I got him.
It's hard to explain how big they are, though. Hey! But
Well, someone in one of my paleo videos, somebody was describing this extinct animal as being the size of a dog, and it's like,
what kind of dog?
yeah, what does that mean? Are we talking a Chihuahua or a Mastiff?
Or a setter or a beautiful lab? Ah! I'm being attacked.
Yep. We hear it. They got your mic.
It's cuddle time.
So, yeah, I think it kind of says something about the difference between cats and dogs, that they have not been, bred to the huge variety. The cats have not been bred to the huge variety the dogs have.
Oh, but some of those cats are, ugh. Some of the breeds out there are terrible. Like, if they ever got out, they wouldn't make it.
Oh, yeah.
We breed them for cute, but not for function. It's terrible.
Yeah, especially the ones with the smushed in noses.
Oh, some dogs, they wouldn't be here if they didn't have like assistance giving birth, because they just can't do it without
Yeah.
human assistance, and that's terrible. To me,
Yeah.
that's a failure.
Well, and that's why I'm pretty disgusted by the whole idea of, purebred animals in general.
I hate it.
Yeah, that they're so inbred that they all wind up with genetic defects.
I hate it. I really hate it, because it's like, well, I shouldn't say anything, but my area is full of people who are inbred, and
Uh-huh.
it's not a pretty sight. Ow! Come on, let go.
It
You're
was one of the
hurting me.
reasons. Was one of the reasons I had to get out of that small town in Michigan. I couldn't risk dating there.
Yeah, so find out it's a relative.
Yeah, well, I was related to more than half the county within 3 or 4 generations.
Ew. Well, it's not look like you were looking to breed, but still. Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It was just the terrible odds of that. If I actually got interested in somebody and then finding out that, oh, she's your cousin's niece.
Ew. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Yeah, just didn't want to risk it at all.
I think I'm gonna have to try a great escape here.
What, you got to put the kitties away?
Yeah, I gotta put them in a box. Come on. I'll never get out of here. I'll never get out of here without their assistance, so. And that's a problem, because I'm trying to move. I don't have much time. They're. Oh, God, he's already out. No! You little shit.
Escape artist.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they're still innocent, so they haven't really figured everything out yet. But he got out, and he's the bad jumper. And she's being good, so we'll see. I need a pet cage for when I do get some work done on my apartment, so that they don't
Yeah.
get outside. Because that's a problem.
Yeah, it's one of the advantages here if I'm working on a big project or having to run a lot of noisy tools, at least I can go and bring him upstairs and Sloth Girl will babysit for him for the day.
Yeah, because that's a big problem.
Yep.
I've already had a couple of great escapes. I just don't want them getting outside because I don't think they'd live like more than 10 minutes. It's really scary,
Yeah.
like the wildlife in my area. It's not meant for cute little four-legged meats with long tails. And they're not bright. They're just babies. They're not bright at all.
Yeah, that's I kind of underestimated the difference of the wildlife moving out to a rural area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I figured that pretty much all the animals they were going to encounter were ones that I'd already seen in the neighborhood in New York, and it's like, yeah, well, they're technically the same species, not the same behaviors.
No. No. We got a gang of skunks. But we have something called a fisher. Have you ever heard of fishers?
When you say fisher, I'm thinking a type of bird.
Oh no, this is a type of weasel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I know what you mean.
And they are vicious. Like,
Pretty much anything in the weasel family is fairly vicious.
well, it's big. For a weasel, it's big. And they like to eat cat.
Yeah.
They'll eat a dog. They'll eat anything they can bring down, and those teeth are seriously awful.
Well, the problem with raccoons is that they tend to travel and hunt as a family. So, it's like Guapo could probably handle them one on one, but I,
Don't,
like
yeah.
4 or 5 surrounding him is another thing.
Well, the nice thing about I don't think cats should go outside anyway because it's either they'll get killed or they'll kill everything. You know?
Yeah, well, like I say, it was only a few years ago that I came to agree with that, but yeah, I will not have outside cats anymore. Oh,
But there was a family of fishers. There was like 30 of them that crossed the road in front of my car.
30 of them?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know they were in groups that big.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of them, and it was like watching a gang, like a motorcycle gang, go by. They were just like, "Hi, we're long and slinky. Hello." I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 females with their broods, but they just walked on by.
Yep.
And my friend was telling me, it's just like, I'm going to work and I see a guy on the side of the road just standing there. I'm thinking he needs help because, it's deer hunting season and, people don't usually just stand by the road like that. So she's tired, but she's going to work. She gets closer. She realizes that's too big to be a man. She gets closer and she's like, oh, that's a bear standing on his back legs.
Yep.
Okay, it's a bear. It's not someone needing help.
Yeah, saw a few of those in Michigan. Had some black bears wandering around.
Just standing there. Doo doo doo. Hi, I'm a bear.
Yep. They had one that kept coming into town on garbage day. So
Smart.
the DNR trapped and relocated that same bear 3 times, and it kept coming back.
Oh dear.
So unfortunately, I think in the end they wound up killing it just because they couldn't get it to stay away.
Yeah. Poor thing though.
Yeah.
We don't relocate ours. We just change our garbage rules. You're not allowed to put out garbage until it's actually garbage day.
Well, that's, the rule there was, that the garbage was generally picked up first thing in the morning, so people would put it out the night before.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that. We have a time. Everything's timed.
Ah,
We're not allowed to do like a whole bunch of things. It's well, I live in a park, so the animals kind of have, you know, preferential treatment, which is fine. Unless it's hunting season. And then
preposterous.
it's like, I wonder what the taxidermy place is charging for meat. Sometimes they give away meat.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that got weird. Sorry.
No, actually, I know what it is. In my family during hunting season, there usually winds up being a deer or two hanging in my mom's garage.
Yeah, I don't participate that.
Well, I don't either, even though my brother and my uncles have frequently tried to get me to do it. I am not interested in getting involved in that. But at least they do use things properly. They usually wind up selling the hide, but you know, using the meat.
Well, there's a local seed place, and they like to sell seeds so that people can encourage antlers. And there's a bunch of us that just spread seed just so we can fix what's been burnt down.
Hmm.
Because we have the occasional fire. Seems like once a week my town is on fire. I'm not kidding.
Ah,
But yeah, they have all kinds of like different clover mixes and stuff. And it's kind of neat, but there's a bunch of us who just go out to spread seed of local stuff, not stuff that's different. I don't
oh
know.
yeah, I would definitely do that. Go out and spread some local wildflowers.
Yeah. It's kind of cool because if you get enough out there, then they don't end up like dead on the side of the road in winter. We've had a few like either freeze to death or starve to death in the winter. So if there's enough of that on the ground, they usually make it through the winter.
Yeah, well, out by where my mom is, there were several people who even put out feed cord in feeders for
Hmm.
the deer during the winter.
And we'll break ice so they can drink.
Yep.
It's sad when they try to cross the lake and it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to get too close to them either. People don't realize that. Yeah, it's not just the antlers. If they feel they're threatened, those hoofs can kill you.
Oh yeah. I'm sitting there going, I'm on the deer side, so there you go.
Yep.
But
Well,
happily,
that's like I get bothered when they consider hunting a sport. It's not a sport unless both sides have a roughly equal chance of winning.
right.
So if you're shooting them from 100 yards away, that's not a sport. If you want to call it a sport, you go at them hand to hand. I'll give you a couple of pointy sticks to make up for the antlers. That's it.
Yeah. I figure it's better not to do it.
I don't think there'd be many of these sportsmen who would take up that challenge.
The worst
No.
ones are those places in Africa that the rich people go to
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
So
to
much.
shoot a lion or whatever
Trophy
that's
hunting.
that's already been sort of sedated somewhat. Isn't even a wild animal, it's kind of domesticated. It's in an enclosed area.
Yeah.
And so they can't miss, really.
Yeah, that's
How is that a sport?
It's not.
yeah, that's totally disgusting when they're in a fenced-in area.
Yeah. I mean, even if they weren't fenced in, I still wouldn't call it a sport. But
It's
Yeah.
not a
How-
sport. It's waste.
how can anybody get any pleasure from that? Seems weird.
I've got a sister who raises chickens and she refuses to eat them because they're her friends.
Oh God, I've been there.
My sister's the same way. She keeps about a dozen chickens for the eggs, but she would never eat them.
Mhm. There's little Hey Hey, and she's a tiny black chicken, and she's absolutely adorable, and she knows her name and everything. I mean, if it responds to its name, I'm not gonna eat it.
Yep. I didn't know chickens would actually respond to a name, though.
Yeah, Hey Hey knows her name. Most of them know
They,
their names. The goat
they
doesn't
are
care.
quite clever. They're quite clever, and when they're little babies, they're okay because they look like dinosaurs, obviously. But once they turn into big ones, they can just fuck off. They're evil.
Oh, Hey Hey's like 6 years old. She's lovely.
I'm not a fan.
I never
Uh,
had any problems with the chickens. However, the rooster,
Roosters
Yeah.
are assholes.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, they kind of need to be. It's their job to keep everything away from the chickens.
Yeah, well, um, we had a rooster. And he was really awful, and he kept attacking me. Like wouldn't leave me alone. They put me on top of a chest that was outside in the yard. He kept attacking me, so
Yep.
we had him for dinner. And then there was another rooster. I thought, okay, this will work out. This is a better rooster, different breed, blah blah blah. He kept bothering the girl chickens, like I guess just being a bully. And I was outside at the time. They killed him and stripped him to the bone in like under 2 minutes. They ate
Yep.
him.
I know they will do that.
It was awful. And afterward, it was like going back to scratching for bugs and acting normal. Meanwhile, there's a little corpse, a little skeleton picked clean on the ground. They ate their, they ate their, they, yeah, chickens eat chicken. It's not good. Chickens eat chicken. And there's some gorgeous chickens like that live like five blocks from me. They're like little gangsters. I think they picked them because they're beautiful. They've got these gorgeous feathers.
Yep.
But they're so brazen.
Yeah,
It's like, huh?
Brain Bug said in the side chat about putting bells on your cat when it's outside to save the songbirds.
Yeah, but collars get caught on things and then you have a strangled cat.
Yeah, I've also had cats who learned how to walk without ringing the bells. They can become very stealthy with that.
Fucking ballerinas.
Yep.
Well, they walk on the tippy toe anyway. Oh.
Put that. Okay.
I am not answering that. I'm just not answering that. No, there's so much stuff that I need for my apartment. I'm getting kind of like frustrated.
Uh,
Can you still hear me?
yeah.
I can't tell because my stupid.
Yep. You're coming through fine. Yeah. I wish I lived closer. I could help you with some of the fix-up work.
I wish I had tools. You could tell me what to do right over the phone.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I've got the tools. In fact, I wound up giving my brother a good number of tools just because I knew that I wasn't going to have any place to have a shop here, so wasn't much point in keeping a lot of them. I wish I could have a place here that I could set up a little workshop, but it probably wouldn't work out for me because what I'd wind up paying to like rent a garage or something, the amount of work I would get, I'd probably wind up only being able to just pay for the fact that I have a shop and not really be making any money on top of it.
I understand.
It's discouraging.
It is. You know, so much you can do about it.
Yeah.
And do you really want to keep doing that? How many fingers has it cost you already? I hate to say it that way, but
It was only a single incident that, yeah, I lost 3 of my fingers above the top knuckle.
yeah.
But yeah, that completely aside, just the regular aging, mostly the arthritis, that some days I can't judge my grip strength. I'm not even sure if I'm holding the tools tight enough.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I've had a tool fall out of my hand some days, especially if it was cold and I was working outside.
That's not good.
Yeah, so that's what really makes me question about being able to do it too much longer.
Yeah, you can just teach me how to do cat shells. I'll buy my own tools. Just tell me what to do.
Well, no, yeah, I've still been working on all the shelving units and that here, so projects like that I can still do. It's one of the things that I have to have a good amount of lead time because I can't be sure that I'll be able to work every day during the week. Depending on, mostly it has a lot to do with the weather more than anything else, but yeah.
I'm planning on buying some I can't remember the name for it because I'm not thinking straight. I'm planning on buying some boards, certain type of boards, and covering them with sisal.
Yep.
And then attaching them to the wall.
Yeah, I've actually got a spool of sisal rope here that I'm gonna use that to cover some of the upright posts after I get everything built here. Just because it's something that's easy for the kitty to climb on.
Yeah, well, I can't have chickens because I don't have a yard anymore. And I want chickens. Oh well. I like
Yeah.
I like chickens. It's just I have no space for them.
Yeah, well, for my sister, keeping the chickens has worked out well for her. I would not do it just because dealing with the rooster anytime I've had to feed him for her.
Is he a jerk?
Oh, she's had 3 different roosters, and yeah, they're all assholes.
Mm.
It's like I'm trying to put food in their feeder and he's attacking me. That's always the case because he doesn't want me to go near the feeder, but it's like, idiot, the feeder's empty. You've got to let me put some grain in there.
Yeah, they're not they're not terribly friendly.
Yeah, they don't really identify humans as being helpful.
No. But some of them are gorgeous. Some chickens are just absolutely gorgeous.
It's got beautiful plumage. The plumage doesn't even enter into it. It's dead.
It's
Have
not
you
dead. It's
have you,
resting. Yes?
have you seen this stupid thing? I have not watched any news today, so I'm catching up what's been going on in the world, and it's shit as usual. But I just saw this post from Twitter themselves. Have you seen this?
Nope.
The Twitter app on iOS from today has a new feature.
Does it?
I'm not on iOS, so I don't give a shit. But this will be annoying because you can now add your voice to a tweet.
Okay. So people can actually scream at each other now.
Yeah. I don't know why they would do that. That just seems utterly pointless.
They're trying to cut out the YouTube.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
you've got to,
think Twitter's pretty much already gone out of what it was supposed to originally be.
when you compose a tweet, you've got a new little icon to click on, and it will record. It'll let you record whatever you want to say
Let me
to be
check
included
this.
in that tweet. That's silly.
I don't see it. Oh,
I wonder if they're doing it to allow people to use it when they're driving.
I hope not.
I hope not also, but it just strikes me as that's something they would be doing.
I don't see it, but then again, I might have to update my tablet.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, you'd need to update your Twitter thing. It's only on iOS as well, so
yeah, I'm not going
I'm
to see
on.
it either because I only use Twitter from my desktop.
I have iOS, but I don't see it.
you would need to update. It's not just going to magically appear now, is it?
I know that. Didn't I just say I don't know if I need to update it? And now you're saying that I might need to update it? Like I don't have a clue on how to do these things?
Maybe you should update it.
Like a light socket.
I don't know. I'm wondering if Twitter falls in the same category, but I cringe every time Windows tells me it wants to do an update. Although I've somehow broken it now, I don't know how. But every time I shut down my computer, it says Windows is doing an update, and when I boot it up, it comes back to finish the update, and it says update could not be completed, restoring to previous settings.
That's the problem with not having Windows Professional. One of the best reasons for getting Windows 10 Professional rather than whatever the cheaper version is, because you've got total control over that kind of nonsense.
Well, but having control over it would not help and would be dangerous because I don't know what I'm doing with it.
Okay, fair enough.
So I would probably just screw up the whole system.
No, but you have at least got you've got control over when it does these things, and it will not do these things without you expressly saying, okay, do it.
Oh yeah, no, I've got mine set that it, that's why it only does it when I power down. But unfortunately, at this point, it's like since it attempted to and wasn't able to, now it's going to do that every time I power it down and power it back up, and I can't change that. So unfortunately, it means that it now takes 10 minutes for my computer to boot up anytime the power's cut.
that isn't okay.
It's one of the many reasons why I prefer OS X on
Yeah.
my MacBook, because it doesn't do stupid things like Windows does.
Well, that's probably, it's the only real shortcoming I've found since I moved is that in Michigan, there were a couple of old guys who ran a computer lab at the community center. So when I had my computer doing things I didn't understand, I had somebody to bring it to. But here I don't know anybody. Just because I'd like to get that fixed, just so it didn't take my computer so long to boot up when I need it to.
I rarely boot into Windows because my Mac does both, but I rarely use Windows, only when I absolutely need to. But I can't. Oh, it just irritates me. See, my MacBook now is waiting to. Well, I've got a little notification there that tells me I've got 9 updates waiting for apps. 9 apps have updates, and then the OS itself, there's an update ready, but it will not do those things unless I say, look, go and do these things.
Yeah.
It won't do anything without me allowing it.
Yeah, I've got the same thing set on my phone that it's not going to do anything unless I tell it to. Because that's always been my biggest complaint about Windows is I couldn't stand it doing things without asking me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why my copy of Windows Pro cost me about £3. So all you need to do is look on eBay, buy a license for Windows 10 Pro, which gets sold in the thousands for a few quid.
Well, yeah, they take the license key off of computers that were scrapped and resell them.
Mm-hmm. And then just go to your Microsoft account, enter the details, and it will upgrade you to Windows 10 Pro.
Yeah, I just cringed when it was doing updates because inevitably every time it did an update, it was going to screw up my settings, and it was going to take me a couple of weeks to get all my settings back to where I had them.
Mm. The other good thing about OS X is if it's saying there's an update available for OS X, but I can click and it will tell me absolutely everything that it's going to do before I download the damn thing. No secrets.
Well, yeah, I would like that.
But the problem is, because I've got a bit of a problem with data at the moment, some of the updates can be quite large. I think this one is probably about 10 gig or something ridiculous. But whatever.
Well, can't you just occasionally go to some place that has free Wi-Fi and do it that way?
Well, not in virus times anyway, but there isn't really places like that without me going all the way into town, which is a trek, and I'm certainly not going to take my MacBook all the way to town.
Yeah, I didn't know how far you had to go.
If I did something like that, it would take an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's too much of a hassle, and I can't really sit in Starbucks for an hour.
No, you don't want to do that.
Downloading my updates.
Yeah, well, it's when I was living where I didn't have an internet connection. I'd bring my laptop to the public library and do that kind of stuff.
I don't even know how that works over here, because I think you've probably got time limits how long you can use. And libraries are closed anyway.
Yeah.
We don't have very many anymore because they keep getting closed down because there's no funding.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody wants to pay taxes, so they've got to cut things somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that, people need to stop just voting for whoever says they're not going to raise taxes. because you can't refuse to pay taxes and then complain that all the city services are shit.
Two quick ones, and the British, so I'll try not to bore you too much, but the airplane that is used by VIPs and the Prime Minister and what have you is a military aircraft. It's actually one of these big things that refuels other aircraft. One of these big tanker things.
Yeah.
And so it's used for military purposes, genuine military purposes. It carries troops and cargo or whatever. But if, say, our Prime Minister wants to use it, he can, and it will take him wherever he wants to go. So he's just announced yesterday that this military aircraft, which is grey, the usual colour for these things, they're going to paint it red, white and fucking blue.
Why?
It will cost about £1 million, and that is taxpayers' money. £1 million is not a lot in the big scheme of things, but it's a military aircraft, and so they're going to paint it, the full thing, in red, white and blue.
That's really stupid.
It's incredibly stupid, and that will come out of taxpayers' money. And it's during its scheduled maintenance thing, and usually it would be repainted grey, but that is not taxpayers' money. That just, or extra taxpayers' money. So people vote for this kind of nonsense.
Yeah. Well, they probably want it to look more impressive, you know, when they have to go into Europe or something, go into another country.
Why don't they just paint it to look like a fucking Target?
Exactly. Yeah. You see where I'm coming from? It's a military aircraft.
Different color pigments actually affect the airflow on the foils.
They're also thinking of bringing, well, they're not thinking, they are going to do it. You know, the Queen and the royal family used to have the royal yacht, the last one being Britannia.
Yeah.
And that was decommissioned years ago.
Oh, no.
Because when I say decommissioned, she stopped using it and said, you know what, we can just get on a British Airways flight like everybody else. So that's how the Queen travels. But they know some bright spark has said, hey, let's have a new royal yacht for a cost of whatever, 100 million quid or something. It's just not needed. Complete waste of money.
Yeah.
Why do they do that?
Well, I don't understand why they still have a monarchy at all, but
it's all part of this. Hey, we're the UK, and yeah, we're independent and super hard. Let's put flags on everything and all that shit. I've actually been on the Royal Yacht Britannia, and it is pretty cool, I have to admit, because it's docked somewhere in Scotland. It's now a tourist attraction, and you can go on it and carry a little thing that gives you an audio commentary and what have you. And it is interesting from a historical point of view. Because it's one of its original purposes, before flight travel was so commonplace, they needed a way to carry the car, you know, the royal car thing, from country to country.
Okay.
So it had this wonderful little, I don't know what you call it, this storage area that the car would sit inside, and they'd get to the new country, unload the car, they'd tootle around doing the stuff, and then blah, blah, blah. So it kind of had a purpose, even though I know you don't understand monarchy, but kind of had a purpose. But
yeah, no, and I understand that. And I mean, your country's an island, yes. I understand that, you know, needing to get your dignitaries in a vehicle over wherever they're visiting.
I'm just not a big fan of, like, rabid patriotism.
It cost a lot of money to operate because it had to have a big crew. If you're into engines, which I'm not particularly, the engine room on that thing is absolutely fucking amazing. You've never seen engines and machinery so clean in your life. I mean, this is no grease or grime. It's amazing. But anyway, the Queen said at some point, she said, you know, this is costing too much. We'll just get on a British Airways flight, a lot cheaper. But now some bright spark has said, hey, let's have a royal yacht.
Although I
It's
suppose if you made me king, I would probably have my own aircraft carrier. So not one of the modern ones. I like the historical. I'd get like a reconditioned or World War II aircraft carrier.
That would be cool, that. This is another good one. I don't know whether I think it's built now, because these modern aircraft carriers take like years to build. And I think it's just one of them that has cost so many billions of pounds.
Yeah.
There are no aircraft for it. So we've got an aircraft carrier with no aircraft.
Okay.
That's
Somebody didn't budget that out very well. Yeah, well, even in World War II, though, the lead time for a fleet aircraft carrier was taking about 3 years to build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There is. I'll just do one more. I'll do one more British thing before you all get bored.
Well, I don't find it boring.
I know, but I do drone on. A big story yesterday. There's a footballer. I don't know his name because I don't understand football, but he led a campaign whereby disadvantaged kids who usually, during school time, would get free school meals. But that ends during the long school holidays, which we're now approaching, last for 6 weeks.
Yep.
And so the obvious question is, well, if these families can't afford to feed the kids in school time, how can they do it during the holidays? What's changed? And so people have been saying, look, extend this through the school holidays, especially with what else is going on at the moment, because people are struggling. And Johnson and the idiots said, no, we will not do this. This footballer speaks up, and Johnson has stood up and said, okay, we're going to do this. Getting these idiots to actually change their mind on something is pretty much impossible. So this guy is getting so much praise at the moment because he's actually done something. He's actually made our government do something good. So about 2 million British kids will now be able to eat during the school holidays, because these are families who can't actually afford to feed the families properly, if you know what I mean.
We've got some similar things here, but in the US, of course, that winds up varying so much from state to state and even county to county within a state.
Yeah, and the cost of this in total is only about 120 million quid, an absolute drop in the ocean for a government.
Yep.
But for some fucking reason, they were adamant they would not do it. And yet, they can paint an airplane in red, white and blue, have a stupid yacht, and all the rest.
Yeah.
So that's something has been achieved that's good for once.
Well, and unfortunately, that's such a common thing, is that the actual useful social service programs aren't flashy. They don't get enough press, so the politicians don't care about those.
Mm.
And most of them, most of the programs that would help low-income people cost a hell of a lot less than, any of the basic stuff they spend on the military, especially, but, so many other things that are really questionable if we need.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, 120 million quid is nothing for a country, is it? And it works out at £15 per child per week, a week being 5 days, kind of school days. So that's £3 per day. So that's just going to get one very basic meal. But for a lot of these kids, when they're during school time, that's pretty much all they get.
Yep.
Yeah, we have that problem too.
But it kind of baffles me how any government can say, no, we're not going to feed 2 million starving children. No, we will not do that. It's so fucked up.
Yeah, the priorities for the government are just not really with helping the general public.
Well, they're not for helping the normal people or the poor people. This government isn't, anyway.
Yeah.
And it's the same with your Republican.
Yeah, well, that's what we keep seeing. You know, they can do corporate bailouts, but they can't help people that are below the poverty level.
Well, they're not interested in empowering people in order to feed themselves anyway. It all has to be like whatever we do has to be taxable or has to be taxed. So making sure people eat, that's just terrible because they can't make money on it. It's like, how many different ways? I mean, if you get hungry enough to go out and do crime, well, if
Yeah.
you're a criminal, you have to pay more than anyone else. Just to go to court or whatever.
There was a story that I read a couple of hours ago about, it was a teacher, and he said there was one kid turned up one day at school and he was in tears, this kid, because he's lost his £1. £1, just £1, and so he wouldn't be able to afford his school meal or whatever. And the kid was upset because if he didn't get that meal, he wouldn't be able to eat until the following day. And that's kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard similar things here too.
Disgusting. But then again, the United States government is trying to kill its citizens, so.
Yep. Well, we have to get the economy restarted, and if it's only going to kill 3% of the population, that's not a very high price.
That's 2.2 million dead for only 20% infected.
Yep.
If only 20% gets infected and 4% of the 20% dies, it's 2.2 million dead.
Yep.
I think I'm being generous.
No, I think that's about right. I think about 2 million was the figure I'd seen before.
I don't know.
We're at we have around 2 million infected at the moment for the United States. We have 2 million cases. But let's just open up everything.
Mm-hmm. And it is, I caught a little bit of what was being said earlier. I haven't seen the news yet, but yeah, Beijing, and they're locking places up again.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that now North Korea is desperate and acting up.
What are North Korea doing?
No one's heard from him for quite some time, even though they claim he's still alive. But his sister, that Bond villainess, is she blew up a building where North Korea and South Korea could sit down and talk. So she blew that up, and she's threatening to go into the DMZ if they're not given food.
Really?
Oh yeah, North Korea has been threatening military.
She's doing these things.
Yes, because she's doing all the talking. No one's actually seen him for quite some time. Even though they released a video of him walking around. Come on. I'm not saying he's dead. I'm not saying he's sick, but he's definitely not calling the shots. She is.
I've not seen much news from North Korea, bizarrely, so I wasn't aware of that. But if she's doing things like that
Military.
publicly
Mhm.
and using the military, then yeah, that is definitely suspect because he wouldn't stand for that, would he, if he was
Yeah.
alive?
Between the two of them, he's the reasonable one.
Well, yeah, Faye and I were talking about this earlier, and I've been suspicious ever since that surgery thing if he was really alive or if they were just parading around a body double.
But if she's doing things like this publicly, then
Yeah.
that he's not. We know what we kind of know what he's like. He would not stand for that, would he?
Yeah.
Because that would be him looking weak.
Right.
So that
Well-
would be helicopter shooting her head off.
They're kind of like a nasty little double act, though. Like, he'll order someone's death, but she'll actually kill someone. So,
Well,
So
the side
what
chat's talking about some other news there.
I'll be quick. So are they demanding food? Did you say?
yep. And by the way, the Wikipedia has her down as the supreme leader of North Korea, not him anymore.
Oh, okay. So they're actually begging food for the people. That's
Well,
really
we don't know if it's
bizarre.
for the people or for the military, but they are willing to do.
It'll be for the military, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think
They are
they'd be that
demanding
concerned.
food.
No,
I don't
because
think
they
they'd be that concerned unless it was affecting the military.
exactly because they had a huge famine, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they refused any outside help.
Yeah, the outside governments were certain that tens of thousands of people had starved to death, but, they weren't saying anything about it and they weren't taking any assistance.
Oh,
Because during that one, the U.S. had actually offered, to ship over, I don't know how many thousands of tons of rice,
yeah,
and they refused to take it.
yeah, because that makes them look weak, and of course they can't ever be seen to accept help from America, of course, because the ordinary people over there have been brainwashed from birth to believe that North Korea beat the USA in the Korean War, and you guys are all evil capitalists and all that nonsense that they.
Well, that part's true, but
Well, yeah, but they, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah, the military don't get fed very well because, occasionally one of the soldiers will make it across the DMZ and escape to South Korea, and they'll be very unwell. And when they do surgery on them, because they will have been shot at by their own military, so when they go into
Yeah.
surgery and open them up, the bodies are usually full of kind of maggots and all kind of stuff.
Oh, New York Magazine put out two hours ago that Trump's North Korea peace drive is over. North Korea is doing a whole bunch of threatening towards South Korea, and South Korea is saying, "You want it? Bring it."
Oh, that sounds, yeah, that doesn't sound bad, does it?
No, that just South Korea is. I mean, like, they're not pushovers. They're tough. They're
yeah,
really tough. I wouldn't want to piss off South Korea.
It's not just South Korea though, is it? Because if North Korea pisses off South Korea, that's basically declaring war on the USA as well.
Well, we do have like the baby in chief, so I don't know if he would actually honor that
he
agreement
probably
that we
won't.
already
But
have.
yeah.
Oh, I think he'd go for it, yeah.
Well,
Well,
South Korea is worth a lot. Like, they have built this mega economy. They're really doing well, and I think Trump would be stupid to piss them off.
Well, okay, I think we know the answer to that one.
Yeah,
Mm.
he's stupid. We don't know what he wants.
Yeah, you don't know if he really understands, how things would interplay or how it would affect other things.
Well, South Korea offered us help with the testing because you know how well they did with the testing.
Yeah.
And he refused help from South Korea.
Yep.
And they were all like, "Oh, Americans, you're our allies and we like you. So, how about some help? We'll just help you." And Trump was like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself."
Yeah, because he's basically got the same attitude as Kim Jong Un, that, he doesn't want anything that people might see as, if we're accepting help
Weakness,
from
yeah.
another government, does that mean we're weak?
This is the danger with the orange turd, because he is. It's very obvious what he's doing, but at the same time, it isn't, because he's a lifelong con man. We know this. He's a pathological liar, and he's definitely not well in the whatever it is that he's got, whether it's dementia or whatever.
Physically and mentally, he's a mess.
He's an absolute mess.
That
So
much we agree on, yeah.
yeah, so when he says something, he's a con man, so does he actually believe it? No, but also his memory doesn't work, so maybe he does believe it. Who knows?
Well, and the problem is that he's not even consistent from one day to the next.
1 minute to the next.
Yeah.
That's,
Because
he does have a memory issue. He can't even remember his own lies most of the time. So yeah, like you say, even within a sentence, he'll contradict himself.
Yeah.
And he
'cause
did the thing again the other day, maybe yesterday, where he was fucking going on about NATO again. And I don't know whether he genuinely doesn't understand how NATO works,
He
or
doesn't.
whether he thinks he's playing a game to get his base excited. I can't work it out, because
I think it's both, actually. I mean, he clearly, even after being in office 4 years, still does not understand the powers of the president.
no, this one really does bug me, because
And he's been doing everything he can to pull U.S. support from NATO. He doesn't
yeah,
want us to be involved in NATO at all.
But actually, the problem with that is you've had people like Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh for over 10, 15 years screaming about the UN and NATO and things like that, and how unfair it is for the US government, and how we're being taken advantage of, and how we're the world's military police department basically,
Yeah.
and how countries should be paying us for our services. And Trump has been lapping that up as well as his stupid little toadies for how long? And he actually believes that crap because that's all he does is watch conservative
yeah,
TV news
Yep.
tropes. The source for that isn't Trump. The source for that are those networks and people like Alex Jones that
yeah.
get him riled that he believes.
Oh, it was about Germany, wasn't it? If you saw it, well, it's always about Germany when he's into one of his NATO rants, and he was
It's because Angela Merkel made him look like a fool.
yeah. So he was threatening to pull troops out of Germany because Germany doesn't pay enough into NATO. And all the grown-ups on the planet keep screaming at him, that's not how NATO works. You don't pay into NATO. That's just not how it works at
Yeah.
all.
No, it's not. Oh.
And is one of his other favorite lies is that the American troops in Germany are there to protect Germany, which is not true at all. It's like we have US bases here in the UK. They're not to protect us. Although I'm sure you will do, but
Yeah, we
that's not the
benefit
main
from
purpose.
you letting us have those things there.
Yep.
That's for our benefit.
Hmm.
If he decides that we have to pay for that crap,
Yeah.
we're gonna lose a strategic
Yeah,
advantage.
the whole point of us having troops in the UK and Europe is that if we have a major war, we get to fight it on the other side of the ocean instead of on home soil.
Yeah, well, he's a dummy.
It's more simple than that, though, isn't it? I mean, it's basic geography. If you need to get your airplanes from the US to, let's say, the Middle East, that's a
Yeah.
fucking long way. So why not be friends with somebody who's a bit nearer?
Yep.
Do each other some favors and what have you. Just seems so
Yeah,
fucking
let us have a
simple.
base there, and we won't bother you, and you don't bother us, and maybe we'll work together sometimes. And
Yeah. You know, and if
yeah,
somebody tries to bully you, we've got your back.
yeah.
Exactly.
But like, let us do this for a while because we don't own any property close by.
Although we do still want you to send back that woman who killed that chap over here.
Yeah.
So could you have words about that one, please?
We're a bit awful.
Yeah, we're not very good about those kind of agreements.
No, we're not.
Of course, we expect everybody else to do it if they've, got some way we want, but
Snowden.
And one of your pilot guys died the other day, didn't he, over here?
Oh, what about? There was a U.S. soldier just the other day who got drunk in Germany and bit a German soldier in the leg.
okay.
As you do.
No idea why.
One of your fighter pilots crashed
Yeah.
over here, didn't he?
Yeah, we had a plane crash in the North Sea a couple days ago.
Yeah, things are going swimmingly. No pun intended.
Of course, that would be while you were busy protecting us.
Oh yeah,
Well,
'cause
and
you pay for the privilege, right?
you know what's one of the other stupid agreements that Trump has pulled out of now was the what did they call it, the free air treaty or something. But basically, the whole point of this agreement was that it was a reciprocal thing to allow countries to fly over each other's airspace and basically do photographic reconnaissance of their military bases to make sure they weren't building up new weapons that nobody knew about. And Trump's decided we don't need to be part of that anymore.
I wonder why that would
Because
be.
he's a fucking idiot.
I think one of his... We know that he's into revenge. We know this, and he doesn't let it go when he wants to get his revenge. So with Germany, obviously you've got Merkel, who made him look like a dick.
Well, and especially a woman showed him up in public. He's never let that down.
Yeah. A woman who's got a brain, well, that's just fucking not going to end well, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, he's never going to let go of that.
No. Plus, he's got a lot of his debts are to Germany, well, to a particular German bank, and they've got a lot of records on him, which he would not want to go public.
Well, and that's the whole problem with Russia is obviously they've got a bunch of stuff on him too. So he's doing all sorts of things to appease them, which is, I'm sure, part of the thing about reducing the U.S. forces in NATO is, Russia would love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Putin is not a big fan of NATO, of course, so anything that can cause problems there.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, NATO's kind of interfering with him rebuilding the Soviet Union back to what it was. They tend to get upset when he goes back and, invades the neighboring countries.
Mm.
yeah, but build the Soviet Union to what it was. Can't it be better? It's like these people just don't think.
Well, Putin is
I've
one of
always
these old school guys who preferred it in the old days because
when he ran the KGB, yeah.
if you had power, you had money. I mean, he's the richest guy on the planet.
Yeah, well, and he still likes the idea that if anybody objects, they just disappear.
Mm.
It's an easy way to solve problems.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, a lot of nurses have been falling out of windows in Russia lately.
And what about who did Putin poison on UK soil? With tea?
Well, oh God, that was ridiculous. Jesus.
That was a while ago, but I think
Yeah,
it's still relevant.
it is relevant, yeah, because there were two guys, can't
Mhm.
remember the name, two Russian guys, and their ridiculous cover story was they were here as tourists in Salisbury, I think it was, and they wanted to look at the churches, and we just laughed at that, and you thought, yeah, fuck off. And this poison basically closed down a lot of that city or town, and people got ill from it, and some died. And our government basically said, "Oh no," Russia said, Putin said, "No, it wasn't me, it wasn't us."
Mhm.
Everybody else with a brain said, "Yeah, it kind of was. This is actually one of your poisons. We know that you make this stuff." But
Yeah,
of
it's kind of
course,
like you've got a patent on the stuff.
yeah. But our stupid government said, no, Russia have said they didn't do it, so we've no reason to think otherwise.
But we know that they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there were two major poisonings from Russia in the UK. The one where they poisoned Alexander something in like
Oh yeah.
the early 2000s, and then one like 2 years ago where they used I think radiation, some form of radiation.
Yeah, the one from a couple of years ago, that was the Salisbury one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of a big deal, but our government said, yeah, whatever. And then the guy that they killed with that was radiation poisoning also. Was it Lee? What's his name? It begins with an L. His surname, Lienkov or something,
Livenko?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Alexander guy. He
Yeah.
was the first person that we know of to be murdered by radiation poisoning. It happened in the UK, and he was a former member of the Russian security service.
Yeah. There was another weird one, but it wasn't a poisoning. This is going back, I guess, 5 years maybe. And I think he was an ex-British spy, maybe a current one, and they found him dead inside a tiny suitcase
Oh,
that had been.
yeah.
He hadn't been chopped up or anything. His body was in this tiny suitcase, and the suitcase had been closed. So obviously he hasn't done that himself, but the official verdict over here was suicide.
Yeah, right.
And they had a team of experts, military experts, trying to recreate this. Can you get into this suitcase, which is very small, and fasten it up yourself? And nobody could do it because it's not possible.
Not for a
But hey
living
ho,
body.
Hey ho,
Yeah. Well, how would
it's
you?
suicide.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to they were trying to be fancy about it and claim that he could have locked it himself, which is impossible.
Hmm.
We've got a similar thing, a Trumpy thing, because our Conservative Party, we know perfectly well that they like certain Russian people because money, and they make a lot of money individually from certain Russian oligarchs, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And there is a report that has been done over here called, funnily enough, the Russia Report, and it was looking into how Russia has interfered in our 2016 thingy
Hmm.
and other
Yeah, you
things.
too.
Yeah. And
Oh
this
yeah, I'm,
report,
I'm sure that they were manipulating things in the Brexit vote.
oh yeah, what they were, maybe not themselves, but they were funding the shenanigans, definitely.
Yeah.
But this Russia report was finished, ready to be released, and all it needed was for the Prime Minister to give his final signature for it to go public. And when Johnson became Prime Minister, he won't do it. So they're sat on this report and won't release it. Even though all the other experts who are high level kind of security and military people who did this investigation and this report, they've all signed it and said, this is safe to release.
Hmm.
For the Prime Minister, that's the only signature that's needed, his personal signature. He won't do it. So that's not dodgy at all, is it?
So in other words, there's no problems for the military, but it's problems for the politicians.
Mm. Well, the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what I think about them. It's this particular lot. Not saying previous Conservative governments, whatever, but this particular lot are so corrupt.
Yeah. Well, that's the Republican Party here. Yeah, they've just gotten more and more extreme.
Well, yeah, you've got certain Republicans, or I can't name them, but you've got certain Republicans over there who will say, "This is not the party I joined. This is not the same that it
Well, we're
was."
starting to see more of that now with the way Trump's been handling the riots.
Mhm.
That there are more of them speaking up and saying that they can't go along with, bringing the military into this.
Well, we've got the same thing. You've got respected Conservative MPs who kind of have morals and what have you. Some of whom have been around for decades, and they've said publicly, this is not the Conservative Party anymore. It's been taken over like not a coup, but it's been taken over by this group of extremists, and they're basically calling the shots now. So we know that Johnson is basically a puppet. He's not calling the shots. He's been told what to do by certain people, and this group of people are hell bent on making sure that the Brexit thing goes through, all that malarkey, because they will personally benefit from it, whereas the rest of us,
Will
we're
not.
fucked. Totally fucked.
Yep.
In a huge way.
Okay. We've been going about 2.5 hours here, and
Okay.
I need to wind this down because this virus thing has made it very difficult for me to get Minnesota plates on my car. I need to get that done. So I have to go and drop some more
Fair enough.
paperwork off at the deputy register, and hopefully this time they can get it to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get that sorted out, and
Fair enough.
everybody else can sit and moan about the world, and I will go and make coffee.
Yeah, well, there are several other issues in the news now that need some more discussion, but yeah, I've got to go while the offices are open.
Yeah, you get on top of that, get it sorted. Don't sit around talking to idiots.
So, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Yep, and
And
everybody in
we'll
the
talk
side
to you
chat,
soon.
Amiga Nuts and Greg and Brainbug, thanks for spending some time with us.
Mhm. And we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.